A pretty good sea bass bite going on here.
A jigging sea bass bite.
Nice fish, Andy.
That is a nice fish, Andy.
You know, Joe, what time of year does this start up?
We get these fish in August. We get them right through the fall. Oh, I had a bluefish there, but I got a nice sea bass.
Whoa! Look at that.
That's a beautiful fish.
That is
a nice
beautiful
fish.
sea bass.
That is a pretty typical fall fish.
Now, weight on that fish, Joe, what are you thinking around roughly?
Oh, I don't know. I'd say 4.5.
Wow, that's a pretty fish.
Wow, nice fish. Oh. There we go.
That might be a little better.
Oh, that fish is screaming, Rick. Wow.
You're watching Northeast Angling. We're proud to present inshore and offshore saltwater fishing. We cover every species from fluke and porgies to stripers, sharks, and tuna. You can learn more about techniques, tackle, and destinations at neangling.com. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
We're out here with Captain Joe Weinberg of the Fish Hawk out of Hyannis. Took a nice little 12-mile run here. What do you got in store for us today, Joe?
Well, Andy, we got a wreck that we're trying to anchor up on right now to do some sea bassing.
You know, one of the things we want to concentrate on here is we stopped the boat, we got an idea how we were going to lay. Now it's just a question of getting this anchor down on it.
You know, you can see what kind of conditions we got here. You know it's going to be a little bit tough. It's a little bouncy. We got to be on the structure to catch these fish.
And you might have to do this 1 or 2 times to get it right.
Absolutely, especially when you got wind against the tide. Sometimes the boat's going to swing a little differently than what you thought originally.
What do you think,
that
Joe?
might be
Looks
good
good?
like that, Andy.
You know, one of the things you want to do is you make sure that the anchor, when you're putting it down, the boat should be going backwards, starting to slide back.
You know, you see that a lot, Andy. Guys will pull up to a piece, and they'll drop their anchor down while the boat's moving forward. And you see the line going right alongside the boat. And Joe, running a big boat like yours, I'm sure you've seen some lines go in the wheels before.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And in terms of setting the anchor, you don't want to pull on it as much as you just want to let it out, grab it, let it out, grab it, and you're keeping the line straight, and you'll eventually get it in.
Yeah.
And sure enough, we're in. And I know we're working back on this piece.
Now, Joe, you're watching that piece on the machine, so you know when we're coming back over it. And basically what Joe's going to do, he's going to tell Andy, right about there, tie it up, right? Are we good?
That looks pretty good, Andy, if you want to clean it up.
I got it on here. Let's let that anchor line get tight.
Well, we got a wreck just behind us here. I was hoping that we could anchor up on it and do some sea bassing.
Which we did. Now, Joe, we're doing something a little bit unique here. We got diamond jigs, about 4-ounce diamond jigs. We got, Andy, these are Exludes from Mr. Twister. What are they now? Soft
Exudes, soft plastics from Mr. Twister.
And we're actually going to jig for sea bass without bait. Now, this is something that you don't see very often. And you've been doing this for quite some time now. You say it's quite productive, right?
Absolutely. Sea bass is a very aggressive fish, keyed on the motion and the color.
And you told us this has produced some of the biggest fish is using this method.
Absolutely. Very effective technique.
I'm going in. Didn't take long, I'll tell you that much.
Got a nice one, Rich?
Yeah, it doesn't feel bad, Joe. Andy, you in?
Clearly a nice bunch of fish down there. Joe, what time of year does this start up?
Well, we get a good shot of them in the spring when they're inshore spawning. And then about August, we get another charge of them right straight through the fall.
And then what else can we see here besides these nice big sea bass?
I just found a porgy.
There you go. Well, we got porgies, we got blackfish.
Yeah, I know you work hard on finding these
It's a nice
pieces of
fish.
bottom. They are beautiful. I know you work hard on finding these pieces of bottom. What's special about this one?
Well, It's in 45 feet of water. There's not a lot of other structure around it, so it's somewhat of a magnet, and it's a good size piece, so it collects a lot of fish.
Now you get an isolated piece like that. Rich, you and I talk about that all the time. You know, you could be in an area with too much structure sometimes. You're better off having a little patch, and the fish are going to be right on that.
Something a little out of the way.
Now, Joe, you said you got a lot of pieces that you fish closer inshore, but right now the water temp's just not right for that, right?
Absolutely. In the summertime, as the water warms up, we definitely have to move in a little cooler water.
Whoa, that looks good, Joe.
Feels like another decent fish.
That was on a jig.
Wow. I'll tell you what, I like this jigging technique. I haven't had to get my hands dirty at all.
or the boat.
Do you find you get bigger fish this way, Joe?
We can. When the fish are keyed in on bait fish, a lot of times on the jig, you'll catch much bigger fish.
Well, I'll tell you what, this is a
some
nice
quality
bite here.
fish
That looks like a good fish, Andy.
Yeah, I got a solid one on here.
There you go. And again, like we're just flipping up tide, working back, bouncing over the wreck. And it's amazing. They jump on. They're just so fierce when they hit.
Very aggressive.
Now, this is one of the best ways, I think, also, Joe, to get kids into fishing also, wouldn't you say? I mean, obviously today may be a little bit sloppy out, but for the most part, when these fish are on, they're really not a tough fish to catch, right?
No, it's real simple fishing.
Look at that.
You know, the key is keep the bait moving. Oh, that's a beauty right there.
You ain't kidding. Look at this. You can put him in a well, Joe.
Yeah, that
sounds
one's
good.
These are very good eating fish.
Oh, one of the best. But, I mean, again, you know, getting kids into fishing, it's just a great way to get them started. Oh, man, I can't even talk. Every time I try to say something, I get hit.
You know, you mentioned starting kids off on this fish, and it's really, anybody could get into it. There's a lot of action when you're jigging sea bass.
Now, Andy mentioned before what else we're going to see here. And, you know, you said you get a mix of porgies and stuff. I mean, we're targeting sea bass today, and that's one of the reasons why we're using the jigs. But, I mean, when you bait fish, you said there's a lot of things you can do.
Well, if you're targeting just sea bass, you got to remember there's a lot of porgies on the wreck. Some of them are real small. So if you are bait fishing, if you can use a bigger hook and maybe a bigger piece of bait, you got a half a chance of catching a bigger fish.
And you also got to be patient and wait through those porgy bites.
Absolutely.
You know, the porgy bites, that tap, tap, tap.
Yep.
And the sea bass feels totally different.
Yeah, well, it's
smack.
definitely a very
they'll thump that bait a lot harder than a small porgy.
very pronounced bite. And even with, like, again, with the braided line, you feel everything too. So.
I'm just amazed at how good this bite is. You know, even with this little bit of sea running, these fish really turn on.
Yeah, they are.
Visit the Northeast Angling website at neangling.com for nationwide saltwater charter directory, fishing news, and free fishing reports. You can also find dozens of techniques, tips, and tackle for every saltwater species. Now let's get back to the action.
Well, we're back out here with Captain Joe Weinberger, the Fish Hawk. Joe, where are we now?
We're in Nantucket Sound. We're about 12 miles southeast of Hyannis.
And we got a pretty good sea bass bite going on here.
A jigging sea bass
Oh,
bite.
nice fish, Andy.
That is a nice fish, Andy.
You know, Joe, what time of year does this start up?
We get these fish in August. We get them right through the fall. Oh, I had a bluefish there, but I got a nice sea bass.
Whoa!
Oh,
Look at
Sea
that.
bass. That's
Wow.
a beautiful fish.
That is
a nice
beautiful
fish.
sea bass.
That is a pretty typical fall fish.
Now, weight on that fish, Joe, what are you thinking around roughly?
Oh, I don't know. I'd say 4.5. Anyway.
Wow, that's a pretty fish.
That's, I know Rich likes these for the table. I know so do you, Joe, so
Absolutely.
maybe you want to drop that one in the well.
That looks like a good eating fish right there.
I would say so. And this tide, it seems to be slowing a little bit now, Joe.
It is slowing
Oh, there
down.
he
We're
is.
just coming up on slack tide, so before we swing, I think we'll get a pretty good shot of fish here.
Oh, 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 oh. Now
Then
you got.
said
I'm
this
sorry.
piece of bottom we're on, there's some scattered wreckage.
Ah, the infamous blue dog.
We got some scattered wreckage.
It is
here
a
on the
wreck
bottom.
that we're fishing over.
And you
we,
find the bass mostly located on the wreck?
A lot of times they'll be right on top of it, sometimes right around it.
Oh, there he is.
Another one there, Rich?
Yeah, doesn't feel too bad, Joe.
Very good.
Joe's working one as well here.
You win again too, Joe?
Yeah, yep.
Oh, this guy's
Starting to
going
get
down
fast
tight
and
on it.
furious here.
Oh, we're tied.
Oh, we're together. I'm going to sneak right under you here, Andy.
There you go.
Now, Joe, another thing about these fish, handling these fish. I mean, you know, what's the right way to hold these fish? Safest way to hold these fish?
Well, I notice you grab them by the lip. I like to do the same.
Well, we have pretty tough hands because we handle so many fish. But I don't know if that's quite just for everybody.
No, our hands get a little weathered, a little callous. So they do have teeth. They have sandpaper teeth.
They do have small teeth. They're not too bad. They're not too sharp. One thing you want to watch out for is this dorsal fin's got spines running along the top, and right along the gill plate here is a real serrated edge, very sharp.
And they'll do a lot of damage to you if they get poked into you, huh?
So if it bothers you to stick your thumb in there and lip them like that, another thing you can do is just throw a rag on them.
Yeah, well, Andy and I, we go with the bragging rights every now and then.
Yeah.
Whoever's got the more raspier looking thumb generally had a better day.
Right. I actually, Rich and I have been out fishing tonight, and I meet him out afterwards. I take a look at his thumbs. I know what kind of day he's had.
That's bass thumb.
Well, yeah, you're right. This is, we got a little tangle here. We should be able to get it out. Andy, what do you got there?
Another nice bass. You know, these are all quality fish.
Wow, this is just a great way to fish for these fish. Get that jig out, and we're going to be in a second, Joe.
Sounds good.
Guy back.
Well, Joe, we just switched over to our bait rigs. I got a 6-ounce sinker on here. I'm a little ahead of you guys. You got the 5-ounce. I want to try to stay up.
Yeah, we're fishing 5s.
And one of those things, we just want to make sure we got enough lead to hold the bottom. Our baits aren't getting dragged along or into that wreckage.
Yeah, most definitely. That's true.
Well, there we go, guys.
Got a touch there, Andy?
A little bit. Maybe a couple porgies down there.
Oh, there you go, bud.
That's not a porgy.
That looks like bass. Now, I'm feeling little porgy bites right now. I'm going to try not to set on those fish, and I'm going to wait for that good thump we were talking about.
Oh, there we go. There it is. That was, this fish was actually just laying on it, Joe.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, I just felt a little bit of weight. I raised the tip of the rod, and oh, man, and he hopped right on. That's amazing. If this is, I'll tell you, if this is one fish, it feels like a real good one. Not that we've seen too many bad ones, right, Andy?
No, I don't think any of these are too bad.
Catching some nice fish here today.
And you know what? For their size, this body type fish, they always fight well. Oh, you got a good one there, Ray.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Come up here, you.
Nice sea bass right there.
Nice fish, Rich.
That was a good one.
Joe, I noticed we've got clam and squid with us. When do you use the different baits?
Well, they both work pretty well. I do like the clam as far as scent. It's got a little more of a draw to it. But then again, the clams are softer. And when there's a lot of porgies around, I like the squid.
Right, because the porgies are going to just chew that clam right off.
Porgies take the clam off a lot quicker than they would the squid.
You
so
know,
the squid will stay on the hook. You got a better chance of hooking a bass.
Andy and I, you and I always look, we always have rig envy and bait envy and stuff like that. And I notice you always look for the belly part of the clam, and I always look for the squid heads. I notice, I don't know, for some reason, Joe, you notice that the heads generally sometimes pull a bigger fish?
Absolutely, I like a big squid head on there. With these pieces here, what I've got inside the squid is some of the gut.
So that's just more scent, more flavor, stuff like that, right?
More draw to the bait.
Yeah, that's like what Andy, we were saying with the belly also, the belly of the clam. It's almost like putting a chum pot down there, you know?
Absolutely.
I noticed we've got a 2-hook rig, which with these porgies around, a 2-hook rig's not a bad idea. Especially if you're going to use a softer bait, because you might get cleaned out of 1 hook and still you're down where the fish are and you still got a baited hook.
Not only that, but the more turned on these sea bass get, the more double headers we'll be catching.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And this is what we're using, size 4-0s, right?
That's right.
4-0s, 6-ounce of lead. Pretty simple rig.
A couple of dropper loops, 24 inches apart. It's a very easy rig to tie.
Now, I am getting bombarded by these pork chops right here.
Oh, yeah, they're getting
you
turned
feel that? It's like a machine gun. So now, Joe, you want me basically just to wait through the bite, right?
Yeah, I try to wait for that thump. You know, periodically, if you know the porgies are really tearing you up, you might have to reel up and rebait because they will get you eventually.
Oh, there's a better bite. Oh, maybe. We'll see. Ah, he just lost weight on the way up.
There you go. It's got that porgy bounce.
I think I might have that pork chop. I think I felt a little bit of a sea bass touch, but wow, look at this.
And you cleaned your other hook out.
And what'd you say? Use a big 4-0 hook and you won't catch these small porgies? What do you think, Andy?
No guarantees in fishing, right?
You know, Rich, like they say, and like you say all the time, anybody can catch the big one. That was challenging.
That takes talent.
Yeah, thanks. That's the talent I need.
There's a lot of porgies down there. They're just pounding away.
That's right. Well, I don't think I have a lot of bait left, so what I'm going to do is reel it up, rebait, try it again. Got a little porgy on there now.
Visit the Northeast Angling YouTube channel for hundreds of videos, including full-length episodes, exciting clips, product reviews, and instructional videos. And now, the exciting conclusion of Northeast Angling.
Well, we're here with Captain Joe Weinberg of the Fish Hawk, 12.5 miles out of Hyannis. And it looks like Rich is hooked up. Got a good one there, Rich?
This one feels nice, Andy. Joe, you got one on there too?
Yes, I do. I think, unfortunately, I might have lost my jig. I did feel the fish, and when he ran back down, he ran that jig right into the wreck.
And you know, that happens a lot. Andy, you said you had a bluefish follow you up a second ago too, right?
Yeah, and sometimes they'll just grab the jig or grab the teaser and bite you right off.
You know, Joe, we talked about switching back, maybe clams. Well, I got a double header. Switching back from clams or the squid from bait to the jigs. And I mean, a lot of times these pieces get a lot of overrun with the bluefish. You find that's a good idea?
Absolutely.
Switch back?
Absolutely. If you are going to jig fish, you're going to catch a lot of blues. It's a predator-based lure, and blue is a very aggressive predator.
That's
so if you're jigging, be prepared to catch both.
Yeah.
Now you got all this flash, and this flash can make a big difference. In fact, it'll attract the sea bass, but it'll attract just about anything else that's aggressive.
That's right.
And then
That's
you
right.
said, Joe, also that bite on a jig sometimes may slow down. And we were talking about doing that a little bit later, is maybe switching over to bait.
If the fish thin out a little bit, might be time to try the bait. You can get the fish that are left really riled up with some scent in the water. It's a good option.
Joe, do you ever chum for these fish at all?
We do, not so much this time of year, because when you do put a chum pot down, a lot of times you'll draw in the bluefish and the dogfish and whatnot.
And lots of porgies and things.
Lots of porgies.
Yeah.
So this time of year, I try not to use a chum pot too much.
I see.
That makes
Fish
a lot
are
of sense.
plenty aggressive enough to
You know,
come to the bait.
Yeah, and even when we're blackfishing, a lot of people ask us that question too. And you're fishing a small, isolated piece. You know the fish are going to be there. If you're in a big, scattered area where you want to bring them to you, sometimes it's a little bit better. But in this scenario, oh, there he is.
Right, we're fishing a wreck. We know where the fish are going to be.
Yeah.
We put the boat over them where we want.
Still got that one on there, Rich?
He's coming. Ooh, that's a nice looking fish.
That's a nice fish.
Man.
Oh man, come here, you.
Beautiful.
Look at that.
Oh, how big's that fish gonna run there, Joe?
That looks like it's a good 3 pounds.
Yeah, I was gonna say about 3 pounds. It's a nice fish. That was on the clam. We've
No,
been
that
switching
looks
up.
like one for the well.
Wanna throw that one in?
There we go.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Well, something's playing with mine, but you know, sometimes you gotta be a little patient on these. The porgies are really like all over this thing.
You know, I'll tell you, all in all, this was some day of fishing, if you think about it. I mean, oh, there you go, Andy. Look at this, they're still coming. I mean, you know, 10, 12 miles offshore. Oh, man, you guys triple up again.
Well, I hope we're not in each other, right, Joe?
Well, actually, I'm in the wreck.
Joe took a piece of bite. You
I
know,
got a
Joe,
fish on, too.
but this happens. Now, what are you going to try to do to free this fish out of the bottom?
Well, I'm going to give a little slack to the line.
And I'm gonna help you a
Actually,
little
I'm
bit
in
here, Joe. I got a nice fish here, boy.
That is a beauty. Let's
That's
get
a good
that
one,
fish
Andy.
Get that
right
one
in the
clear.
Oh, wow, look at that one, boy, huh?
boat. Beautiful.
Wow. Okay. We got to be a little careful because we got this braided line here.
Yep.
Like you said, Joe, that happens. It happens a lot. You get a really big fish, and it'll take you right into the piece. You're not going to get them
Absolutely.
all the time, but now here's your chance to be a superstar.
Well, that's part of wreck fishing. You're going to hang up. You're going to lose gear. You're going to lose fish.
But this is your big chance. Let's see if you can free that one up out.
Okay, let's see if we get untangled here.
Whoa.
Still in there, huh, Joe?
Well, I think I might have got lucky here.
You popped them out?
That's right.
Well, that happens a lot, Joe. And what do you want to do when you get a fish stuck like that? Just try to work that.
There's not a lot you can do. You can let a little slack up on your line and see if the fish will swim it out for you. You can also try to bounce that tip a little bit and see if you get that hook to come out.
Sometimes
if not,
just
you're
a
going to
little.
have to try to pinch it off.
or sometimes just a little steady pressure for a few moments might be enough to work a fish out if it's wedged himself into something.
But this looks like a good fish. This could be a great way to end the day, too.
That would be nice.
Bring him right here, we'll bring him right in. Oh, that is a nice fish.
That is a beauty. That is a beauty.
Looks like a nice double.
Double.
Whoa! Look at this.
There you go.
Wow, nice. I tell you, you know, like I said, it was everything you said it was going to be. We'd come out here, we'd see these bigger fish, both on the bait and the jigs, and I can't thank you enough for today. I really can't.
Yeah, I hope you have a chance to get us back out here again next summer.
I'd love to.
Thanks,
It'd be
Joe.
my pleasure.
Thank you for watching Northeast Angling. You can learn more about techniques, tackle, and destinations as seen on this show at neangling.com. See you on the water.